Hi, I'm Sandy Schroeck for LBR Educates. Today in our Design 101 series, we're going to talk about the design process. So one of the first things you have to do is look at what your customer requests are, or think about what kind of theme that you want. And then the first thing is going to be to choose a vessel. So here I have a metal tin, has a liner in. I have some foam that's already been soaked, and I'm going to utilize that. I'm going to come in on the sides here and use some of the side foam to be able to lock that foam in. Now I'm pressing down, that locks my foam in, but I'm not going to be able to use those pieces to put stuff in. Once we've got our container and our theme, thinking about our customer requests, the next thing is to figure out what design style. So are you going to do a pyramid shape? Is it going to be a round shape? Something that's more asymmetrical? Thinking about the design style. And then the color choices. So of course, to go with this container, we're looking at a polychromatic color harmony, which really is kind of a party. You know, it shows a variety of colors and comes together. You can see this container is a nice, great, bright container. We're gonna do kind of a garden style in and out, and think about the stem placement. There's a variety of stem placements, but today we're gonna use that radial stem placement, which all of the floral materials come into one dominant area. And so that's the stem placement we're going to use today. So let's get started. We're just going to come in, we're going to start with our dominant line, or set the height. And on here, so you want to think about it being in proportion to your container. And we're going to come in with a couple Delphinium. We want to make sure that they're spread enough that you see that there's 2 Delphinium in there versus 1, so that each flower has its own space and its own value within the design. Next, we're going to come in with our secondary floral element, and that's going to be the Alstromeria. It's going to give kind of our garden look and start our stair stepping down into that focal area. So the focal area is going to be closer to the lip of the container, and so these items are leading down into that, and it's going to be right in this area. So the next thing I want to think about is what's going into that focal area. Today we've got some Country Blues roses, and these open up really well. They have a high petal count. And so I know that I want to be able to leave a good amount of space for them. And I'm going to come in, so look where my primary line is, and come into that focal area. And so you can see how that stair steps down. Now we want to have something bring this up in here so that it leads your eye down to the focal as well. And then I'm going to add one in the back, and that's going to give our design a little bit more depth. And so you can see now, like those 3 flowers are kind of in a triangle pattern, and that is a shape that is familiar to the eye, so that creates a visual pathway that people are comfortable with. So right now, I am going to add in some of my foliages. I'm going to come in with a couple Aspidistra leaves that I'm just tucking back on themselves. And coming in. Gives a great motion to the base of that design, and you can see that it's very efficient to use. So we've come in. Now we're going to start adding in some of our accent materials. I have some orange carnations, and you want to think about how dominant also some color is. So this is a darker orange carnation, and so it does add a little bit more of a dominant color. So you want to make sure that we're bringing it. So we've got it here, we're kind of reminiscing our rose over in there, and then we're going to add some depth, bringing one of those pieces back over in here, and then back to the front. So I did a similar triangle pattern with those carnations to really repeat that same element that we have going on with the roses. And I've got the Bombolini chrysanthemums. We're gonna do the similar type thing. One coming up and back, and then one coming into here, and one down at the base in the focal area. So right now you can see all of the colors have come down into that focal area to reinforce that area and give it a little bit more strength. Now we're gonna come in and add a little bit of the filler with Solidago. And here you can cut some of this into a couple pieces so you can get more of an accent insertion in here. And where this is tucked in, then that middle where I cut that out is going to disappear. So lastly, we just have either we could add in some of the green buttons that would be repetitive of those green Bombolini's, or we can add in some of the handsome daisies. And I think we're gonna go with a little bit brighter, really get a bright combination going here, and we're gonna keep it going. So make sure, and as I'm turning this around, you can see that I had kind of a flat spot back there. So I added that in to come in, and I am gonna come with one of these up in here. And then cut out the middle here. I'm gonna come into the focal area here. So we keep coming back to bringing all of those aspects all the way through, and then this piece can kind of be a tie together for that, tearing that together. So now's when I'm gonna really look to see if I see any foam. So I do have a couple spots, and I like to use the Israeli ruscus or a little bit of Floral or leather leaf, but you can cut this down, keep it on the main stem, and just pull those leaves together, and it easily covers. It's a really long lasting foliage and inserts really easily. So here you can see our completed design. As we walk through that design process, from choosing the vessel, taking into the customer's request, thinking about the design style, the color harmony, and then working through that stem placement from our dominant line to our secondary accents to the focal area, and then reinforcing that focal with basing and the accents. Make sure we add that depth to bring your eye all the way through the design, and you'll have a great arrangement for your customers. I'm Sandy Schroeck, and I hope I've inspired you to create some fabulous florals.